Welcome, everyone. My name is Johnny. I'm a meditation intern at Health and Wellness. With us, we also have Sophia, who's a sleep intern at Health and Wellness, Mallory and Maka, who are both also advisors at Health and Wellness. And we'd like to proudly introduce the Venerable Huicheng. The Venerable is from the Shilai Temple in Hacienda Heights in LA. So he drove quite a way this morning to be here with us today. Some more information about him is that he was actually born in Australia. He received his master's in Buddhist studies, and he pursued monastic life in Taiwan with the Fo Guang Shan Buddhist order. Just under a year ago, he was transferred to the Shilai Temple in the Hacienda Heights to serve the local community. And a little just kind of brief summary of today. We'll be going through the meditation, through the session. Afterwards, we'll just have time to talk, get to know one another. There's a lot of familiar, also unfamiliar faces for me here today, so awesome to see so many people interested in meditation. If you have any questions for me, for Sophia, for the Venerable, you're welcome to kind of use that time to ask us questions. And you're also free to get some tea over at Health and Wellness, which is just the next door. Thank you all for attending, and thank you, Venerable.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for making the effort to be here today. Today we'll be having a short session on meditation with a Dharma talk and a Q&A session. So yes, you do have the opportunity to rack my brains. It's fine. Totally understandable. Very Buddhist as well. So today, I'd like everyone to just relax and try to maintain a very peaceful mind. And so we can do so by taking 3 deep breaths in from your nostrils into the diaphragm and exhale through your mouth and relaxing. At your own pace, let's take 3 deep breaths. Okay, so today's session will begin with a very short sharing, a sharing of Buddhist wisdom in regards to meditation. So the title of today's Dharma talk is Seeing Clearly. And I'm thinking most of you here don't have glasses like me, so you can see more clear than me. But what do we really mean by seeing clearly? There must be something that does not meet the eye. So in a Buddhist sense, seeing clearly is something that's beyond just meditation and mindfulness. It is a worldview, a mindset that leads towards that end. And so in the modern world, I think meditation has been studied widely by many different fields. Psychotherapy, we have people from the psychology department, as well as all different human services, and even to do with neuroscience, researching the benefits of meditation for the mind and for the brain, the physical brain. And there is a lot of literature that proves meditation can do wonders in reconstructing the neurons and the synapses. So the mind is very powerful, but it has to be used in a very wholesome manner for it to be able to yield good results. So meditation has been seen as something which can benefit ourselves, our lives, as well as our way of living. And then we also have in the West, especially, the mindfulness movement. We have a lot of people engaging in mindfulness practices of all sorts, trying to become more aware of self and other. But interestingly enough, I think there's not enough consensus as to the importance of the framework in which meditation should be practiced for it to be able to understand the depth of the wisdom that is innate in each and every one of us. So I'd say that a lot of times we tend to seek mindfulness and meditation as a speedy crash course to a peaceful state of mind. But in order to understand the benefits of Buddhist meditation in its fullness, we first of all need to understand the reason why the Buddha himself had taught meditation. So the framework in which meditation is taught in a Buddhist sense are threefold. So it has to be done with morality and with concentration, as well as guided by the right mindset, which is wisdom. So these three aspects of the mind are very important. When we have morality, it means that we act in a particular way which conforms with our own conscience. Anything that goes outside of the conscience or goes against the conscience creates ripples in our minds. It creates a lot of havoc. So morality, the good way of living, is paramount in trying to lead towards wholesome meditation, which reaps the ultimate effects. Meditation has many themes, which we will be introducing the most basic today. And of course, the wisdom we will be talking about deals with the mindsets that we carry in our everyday lives, going towards the whole purpose of not only trying to live happy, but living clearly with a mind that is able to find its own peace, whether it is in stillness or movement. I think for most of us, we can be quite honest with ourselves. When we're sitting down, when we're in the zone, when we have the environment, we're peaceful. But then come exam time, we put ourselves in a very stressful situation. Are we able to generalize this particular state of being into all aspects of life? Okay, this is my challenge to you. So in regards to the mind, there are three levels of strata. Okay, so there's the innermost mind, what we consider the inner consciousness in Buddhist terms. Okay, so this consciousness is something which is there, and it is conditioned by our active mental actions. But in and of itself, it is passive. But it does inform our future actions and thoughts, so it is powerful. The middle strata is what we consider the active mental states and actions. So those of in a wholesome sense, compassion, loving kindness, and gratitude, and so forth. In a negative sense, it could range anything from greed, anger, ignorance, pride, doubt, and so forth. So these active states are triggered by our consciousness, by our subconscious tendencies. And these subconscious tendencies are developed over time, and they reinforce themselves as we repeat the same process heedlessly. Okay, so this is why for a meditator, it is important to have both concentration and mindfulness, the ability to focus on one point, as well as to be aware of the moment-to-moment occurrences of life. And the outermost aspect of the manifestation of the mind are the verbal and physical actions that manifest via the mind. So there is this understanding that everything is the creation of the mind. Without the mind, nothing happens. We just need to look at people who unfortunately are in comatose. Okay, the mind is not functioning in a way that it's active, so the body is not moving. There's no actions, there's no speech. Okay, likewise, everything we do is something that the mind manifests outwards. So these three aspects of the mind require three practices in order to be able to move towards the ultimate goal of true and sustained peace and happiness. So having known this, we can see how important the morality is when it comes to regulating our behavior, our speech and actions. Okay, the meditative practices that we engage in, these are important in trying to regulate and transform these active states of mind. And most importantly, to get to the bottom of the issue, it's to be able to use the wisdom to understand the causes of suffering in the here and now and future. Okay, and we try to sever those causes or transform those causes into wholesome causes. And with such a way of practice, that we're able to be truly happy in all aspects of life. Okay. So morality works in two particular ways. First of all, have you ever known anyone who has just committed a crime? Let's say this guy murdered someone. Do you think that person is able to sit here and meditate nicely, peacefully? Probably not. The reason being is because all of us have something called a Buddha nature, this innate potentiality to be nice, to be compassionate. Okay, let me challenge you. Who thinks they are innately not compassionate? Okay, no one, right? Okay, we just need to do a test here. For most people who are on the spectrum of sanity, if you see a baby falling from the fifth floor, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to run out and try to catch the baby. Okay, this is because we all have this ingrained wholesomeness, this potentiality for being a good human being that all of us have. Anything that goes against it causes a lot of mental drama. In the modern perspective, we talk about the spectrum of mental illnesses. Okay, these are all caused by the culmination of genetics as well as the way we work with this innate pureness. The more we return to this innate pureness, the easier it is for us to live on ourselves. And in hindsight, the easier it is for us to meditate. And so it's important that we maintain a certain degree of morality in our lives. So in the Buddhist sense, there's a framework for morality. There's the 5 precepts. The first one is to not kill. When we're talking about not killing, we're talking about not killing other human beings. Okay, tell me, has anyone murdered anyone recently? No? Okay. So I think we're all, keeping the first precept. Okay, has anyone stolen recently? No. Okay, so yes, we've stolen. Okay, there's a range of like what it means to steal. Taking a pen from the office, taking, supplies from the school, from the university, or something more. Okay, so all these things, they do lead to a conscience which is tainted. So we also refrain from lying. Okay, I'm sure we've all had the experience of having to find another lie to cover up a former lie. So this lie just keeps going on, and when someone notices you unchecked, then your lies out of the window. Okay, so lying only requires more lying to sustain the original lie. So it leaves you in a state where you're unable to be peaceful in the present moment. Okay, likewise, we talk about abstaining from sexual misconduct. This also is in line with the law. If you engage in sexual misconduct, then of course the law will be before you, right? In the Buddhist sense, it does happen as well, because when we harm someone, then that will also work on our consciousness. It will work on our clear conscience. And lastly, to not be overly intoxicated. I know it's hard, but there's a particular state of mind we need to naturally get ourselves in. Okay, we're trying to get into the zone through meditation, but if we rely on drugs or substances, then what it does, it unnaturally changes the chemicals in the brain, which are counterintuitive if we want to develop sustained happiness that is self-sufficient. So these are the 5 aspects of morality that most Buddhists will practice as they engage in meditation. The other thing about morality is meditation is not just stillness of the mind. It is not. Okay, it is not just sitting there cross-legged, looking very zen. That's not the case. Okay? It might look like what it is from the outset, but if you look in the workings of someone who meditates seriously, there are meditative themes. And these themes are in line with this innate pureness and, you could say, clear conscience. Okay? So anything that aligns with compassion, loving kindness, and of course, empathetic joy and equanimity, these four themes are conducive of the right mental state for meditation. Anything that is against those four aspects, okay, greed, anger, ignorance, pride, doubt, suspicion, all these go against these very calm states of mind produced by meditative themes. So that is why not only are we practicing morality through our body and speech, most importantly, we're unifying the mind in the course of our actions. Okay. So when it comes to livelihood, it's important for a meditator to have the correct amount of sleep, exercise, and food, the 3 B's. Okay, so it's probably not productive to indulge in a lot of food before the meditation session. It's good to have a light body. Okay, so to have the digestive system cleared of too much junk. Okay, it also means to stay away from processed foods as well as things that take a long time to digest. So a lot of meditators, they adopt the vegetarian diet for that matter. Okay, there's research that shows a vegetarian diet goes through the system very quickly. Okay, if we are mostly a meat eater, then this meat stays inside the digestive system and becomes putrid and causes a lot of maladies. So we know that with meditation, it's important to have the right livelihood. Okay, it also means to have the right livelihood as in work. Okay, if every day you work as a butcher, killing animals, I don't think it's easy for you to sleep well, right? Because every day you're doing the same thing day in, day out. So it means that we need to be able to find work that is aligned with the values of meditation. As we meditate, it is also important to maintain the right mindset. And that is to have this mind that is able to let go. How many times have you meditated and then silly things come to mind, silly images, okay, silly thoughts, distracted viewpoints. And then sometimes you have a mind that's wandering like a monkey. Sometimes you have a mind that is dull, that is sloth and torpor combined together. Okay, when you're in that state, the more we try to worry ourselves with this particular state, the more it is difficult for us to get out of it. So this mental attitude of allowing ourselves to let go of all these negativities that happen to us, okay, this is a very important mindset for the meditator. It's something which not only happens on the meditation cushion, but in our everyday lives, to be able to move on when things don't go our way. So this is the background of Buddhist meditation, and I'd like to move on to 2 aspects of our practice today. So basically, because we only have a half an hour session of meditation, we will be focusing primarily on samatha, which means calming meditation or serenity meditation. The ability to move the mind from many thoughts, many distractions, and many vexations, and focus on one thing. So it means to employ this monkey mind of ours, give it something to do. And then when we're able to do so, we're able to train it. Train it to focus on one thing. When it wanders off, to slowly guide it back to the point of focus. And then if we can do this, this will generalize into all aspects of life. The ability to focus on wholesome things, and then when the mind drifts off, to be able to refocus. That's, I think, something which is very important, especially as students. So Vipassana is meditating with themes. It means to call to mind the 4 bases of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, not just the body as in itself, but also the postures and also all the intricacies of the body, as well as the breath. Okay, these have to do with the themes that lead to insight, meditation, and wisdom. Okay, it is also to do with understanding our sensations. what am I feeling right now? Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I fluttered? Am I clammy? Am I in a good state? Okay, how's my digestive system going? All these small details of the body. Okay. When it comes to the sensations, there's only really just 2 or 3 categories we can relate to. Okay, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Okay. How many times do we get fed up with ourselves when we get a headache? It's like, I got a headache. And then we justify this anger that comes about because of this headache. Oh, I'm angry because I've got a headache and I've got an exam coming up. Okay, so we justify our anger, our vexations because of our sensations. Okay, but when we do insight meditation, we understand that sensations are sensations. The way we react to these sensations is what makes or breaks the practitioner, which makes the difference between happiness and sorrow. Okay, so sensations work in this particular sense. And the next one is to do with the mind itself, to be aware whether the mind is in a state of vexation or whether it is in a state of compassion, and to understand the workings of the mind as it happens. And finally, to be aware of the consciousness. In Buddhism, we say that life is not one lifetime. Okay, life is many, many, many billions and trillions of the arisings and ceasings of consciousness. So in just a snap of the finger, the consciousness would have already arisen and ceased hundreds and thousands of times. So what it also means is if we get stuck with a particular thought, and this thought is counterproductive to wholesomeness, then in the next instant of a thought, we can change it. So it gives us unlimited hope for the future, understanding that life is in one consciousness. So congratulations, you have not lived just once this lifetime, you have lived trillions of times. Okay, this is good news for you. Now, when it comes to samatha, there are several stages in getting ourselves into the zone. Okay, first of all, it's all about relaxation. It's about being able to allow the body to completely release itself of all those psychosomatic tensions, as well as all those bodily maladies that come about because we are never aware of what the body is like at a particular point. Okay, so after relaxing the body, we are able to move on to breath meditation. So with breath meditation, there are 2 main types. The first one is breath counting. Okay, so to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose and count 1. And then we count in sets of 10 and repeat with 1 again as we complete the cycle. This method is particularly useful for those who find themselves scatterbrains. Okay, people who are usually quite busy with their minds, especially if we study a lot, the mind is everywhere. Okay, at one moment you're thinking about this, next moment you're thinking about which references you're going to use for your paper and so forth. Okay, so it gets really busy. And then a deeper level of meditation would be considered breath observation. Okay, the length of the breath, the quality of the breath, integrity of the breath. So what it means is whether the breath is smooth, whether it's coarse, whether it is warm, whether it's cold, whether it is equal in length or unequal in length and so forth. Okay, so this is the way we train the breath. So basically, in order to relax the body, the first thing we do is take our 3 deep breaths as we have done before. Okay, and then after that, we can stand up and then do a full body scan and then relax every single muscle of the body and work through those psychosomatic tensions, which we'll do in a moment. And then, of course, we continue with whole body visualization and so forth. Okay? So as we do meditation, it's important that, can I invite everyone to place your palms against your belly? So probably about 2 inches down from your belly button. Okay, hold that area, close your eyes and breathe. Do you feel your palms rising and falling with your abdomen? Or is it not moving at all? Okay, we're trying to really allow that breath to go as deep as possible downwards. Okay, the easiest way to achieve this is to lie down flat. And as you breathe, lying down flat, we are doing diaphragmatic breathing. Okay, but it takes a lot of time to practice and train. There are many tricks to achieve that state. Sometimes people do rapid breathing. Sometimes people use the diaphragm on purpose and exercise it just so that we have this muscle memory. Okay, so this diaphragmatic breathing can really, really work to regulate the qi, the energy in the body. Okay, so sometimes a lot of meditation fails because the energy in the body, the meridians are blocked. And when the meridians are blocked, it means the mind becomes dull. Okay, so it's important that we have abdominal breathing as much as possible. Okay, sometimes before exams, take deep breaths into the abdomen, into the diaphragm for about 10 times, and then you'll see a hell of a difference with your state of mind. So as we do this visualization of the body, we usually start from head to toe. Some people like to start from feet upwards. Okay, either way, there's actually a theory behind both, but it really depends on your own personal preference and your state of being. Some people need to feel centered and anchored in the present moment and work from the soles of the feet up. And some people need to, pull themselves from heaven because the brain is everywhere, the mind is everywhere. So they start from head to toe. Okay, so there are variations in the way we do this whole body relaxation, which we will do in a short moment. So the breath itself is a good way to indicate the state of mind. Okay, a breath that is erratic, a breath that is tense, a breath that is coarse. All these are telltale signs that the mind is very much rigid and very much busy. But a breath that is nice and slow and calm and peaceful. These are telltale signs that the mind is in a good state. So in the future, if you find yourself not understanding your current state of being, focus on the breath. Always remember the breath. It is so powerful, but yet seldom brought to mind or taken notice of. So your breath has been with you since day one. It'll be with you until your very last breath. So it's important as a meditator to make friends with it, okay? To be accustomed to how the breath works. So apart from the details, I think it's important now to reflect on whether the mind is full or whether we're mindful. Okay, in a moment, we're going to start the meditation. The time now is 12:40, so we have a little bit of time. So can I invite everyone to take off your shoes and stand at shoulder width? So the people sitting on chairs, hopefully you have enough space. So as we get ready for our relaxation process, please have your 2 feet shoulder width apart. We're going to take a moment, first of all, to take 3 deep breaths. In from the nostrils, into the abdomen, and exhale through the mouth. Breathe in, breathe out. Relax. As we slowly and gently wear a gentle smile. We remind ourselves that what has happened in the past is history. There's no need to dwell in the past. What is yet to happen is the future. It's nothing to do with us right now. What is important is the present moment. As we be nice to ourselves and slowly bring our attention to the entire body. Take a moment to observe whether the body is stiff or relaxed. Just having a very general and broad awareness of the entire body all at once. Slowly bring your focus to the soles of your feet. Imagine that there are tree roots growing from your soles of your feet into the ground below. Allowing your feet to be firmly rooted into the ground. As we allow the entire body to completely relax, we may visualize red liquid sucking up from the roots from the earth below through the soles of our feet, slowly rising up into the body. Feeling that liquid move up through the legs to your lower back. And imagining this red liquid circulating in a clockwise direction. And that the body and mind is completely free and relaxed. Slowly relax all the muscles at the bottom of your feet. Relax your ankles, the calves, the knees. If it helps, gently unlock the knees by slightly bending them forward. Relax your thighs and hamstrings. Unlock the pelvis by gently allowing it to drop backwards. Relax the entire hip. Relax the abdomen and lower back. Relax the torso, shoulders, arms, forearms, and hands, allowing that tension to completely release. Relax all the muscles in the neck, and release the muscles around the jaw as we maintain a gentle smile. Relax the eyes, eyebrows, forehead, ears, and finally, completely relax all that tension on the crowns of your heads. Slowly bring your focus back to the entire body. And re-examine any area that is still tense. Are there emotions trapped in that tension? If there are emotions, just gently remind ourselves, those are just emotions. They are not me. They don't dictate who I am. It is probably harmful to maintain these emotions. I shall acknowledge its presence, but at the same time, radiate compassion and loving kindness to that area of tension and move on. Allowing the entire body and emotions to completely release into the ground below. Become aware of the entire body as just one entity. As we breathe in into the abdomen and out, it is as though the entire body is breathing. Breathing in, the entire body is breathing in. Exhaling, the entire body is exhaling. If any thoughts arise, just let them be. And ask yourself the question, what should I be doing right now? That's right. Focus back on the body. Slowly bring your attention to the point between the nose and top lip, and take 3 deep breaths. In from the nose, into the diaphragm, and exhale through the mouth. Breathing in, exhaling, smile. Take a moment to bring your attention back to the entire body as we slowly open our eyes. And give ourselves a few moments to reorientate ourselves. We've just had a very short session of standing meditation. Now take a few moments to notice your feet. Do they feel very heavy and stuck to the ground? What we have done today is a very grounding way of relaxing ourselves and reconnecting with the present moment. This could be done while you're waiting somewhere in line. It could be done at home. It's very convenient and easy to practice. Okay, so may I invite everyone to take a seat for the next part of meditation. Okay, so for today's session, I'm going to skip the technical details. I think time is more important than technique now. So just a few pointers for those who are sitting on cushions. It's important to maintain the axis of sitting. So your pelvic bone flat on the top cushion and the knees are touching the mat in front of you. Okay, this only occurs when we're sitting in either a quarter lotus, half lotus, or full lotus. So there are several ways to sit which are favorable in meditation. One is called the Burmese position, to have both of your heels towards your body in a straight line. Okay, this is good for those who have limited flexibility in their knees, but have a lot of pelvic flexibility. Okay, so in terms of the anatomy of a human being, it is probably easier for ladies to sit wider apart because of the wider pelvis we have. Okay, but for the males, you can do quarter lotus. Okay, quarter lotus is good. Otherwise, you can do, this is called half lotus. Okay, and then there's the full lotus. So what it means is both of your feet are above your thighs, just like this. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which method you use. The main thing is it's comfortable and sustainable. Okay, you'll know what I mean by sustainable in a very few moments. Okay, so make yourself comfortable before we begin this session. Okay, there's no need to be a hero. Just do something which can be sustained for about half an hour. So the next thing we're going to work with is the posture. For those sitting on chairs, please sit with your knees bent 90 degrees, feet flat on the ground, and back not resting against the backrest. Reason being is because in meditation, there's this root chakra just above the hip. Okay, so this area will lose a lot of energy if it's resting against something. It's important to maintain, a bit of clearway between ourselves and the backrest. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is to straighten the bottom by gently pushing back on it and relaxing it. Okay. And then to maintain a straight back. As for your hands, please have them in the meditation mudra. So left hand bottom, right hand top, both palms facing up, two thumbs gently touching like this, then placed in front of your abdomen. So with the shoulders, we can gently relax them and slightly push them back and tuck in the chin and have the top of your tongue resting against the palate. So for meditation, you can choose either to completely close your eyes, or you can have them slightly open according to whether the mind is dull, tired, or whether the mind is racy. Okay. It is encouraged that if the mind is dull, keep them open 1/3 and have your gaze probably about 2 or 3 feet in front. For those of you who need to settle the mind, you can close it completely. So once we're in the position, then we're able to relax it and slowly bend the body forwards. And backwards. Forwards. Backwards. Tilt to the left. And then to the right. In center. We're going to turn the body to the left. And then to the right. But don't overdo it, otherwise it's easy to pull a muscle. With the neck, you need to release some tension. So first of all, we're going to tilt it to have your ear closing in on your left shoulder. And then to the right. Left again. And then right. Tilt your head forward. And backwards. Down. And up. Turn to the left. And then to the right. Now, wriggle your shoulders. Forwards. And then have yourself comfortable. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to so we're going to take very deep breaths. And for those who have opted to close their eyes, you can close the eyes completely. For those who have opted to keep them slightly open, feel free to do so. As we wear a gentle smile, and bring our focus to the present moment. Slowly bring your attention to the point between the nose and the top lip. And become aware of the sensation naturally breathing in and out through the nose as we take notice of all those sensations. Slowly bring your focus to the observation of the inhalation and exhalation as we count. Breathing in, breathing out through the nose. Count 1. Count all the way to 10 and restart at 1. As we slowly allow the mind to focus not trying to control the breath, but more so just to observe it very subtly and count it. Breathing in, breathing out. 2. Breathing in, breathing out. 3. If any thoughts arise, just gently ask ourselves, what should I be focusing on right now? And slowly refocus. We will now begin our session of sitting meditation. Slowly take 3 deep breaths. In from the nose, into the belly, and exhale through the mouth. 3 times. As we keep our eyes closed, slowly bring your focus to the body. Gently tilt your body forward and backwards. Forwards. Backwards. Tilt to the left. And then to the right. Rotate the body in a clockwise direction, using the bottom as a pivot. And anti-clockwise. Being very aware of everything that is going on with the body as we do so. And then recenter. You may slightly open the eyes. Rub your 2 palms together in a circular motion. If you have glasses, take them off. Massage your eyes, your head, your ears, and your face. Rub your palms again. Massage your neck. Push your arms over to massage your shoulders, arms, and forearms, and hands. Rub your palms again. And pat down the torso, abdomen, thighs, knees, calves, and lower back. Rub your palms again. Bend down and massage your kidney area, your lower back. As you breathe in deeply into the abdomen, hold it. Tilt backwards and exhale loudly. Once again. Simultaneously massage your lower back. Breathe in deeply as you bend down. Massage, hold it, and then bend backwards and exhale. Last time. Massage, bend down, inhale. As deeply as possible, hold, bend backwards, and exhale. Okay, gently release your legs. So release, you can release them in the soul by putting them in front of you and literally your ankles and your toes, nice and gently. So today was a very short session of standing meditation and sitting meditation. And all it takes is probably about 10 minutes in the morning and about 5 minutes before retiring for the day. And sustained practice will really work on the mind to find focus and peace of mind. Yeah, the action of being able to focus on the breathing. And every time the mind wanders off, to ask ourselves the question, what should I be focusing on right now? And slowly and gently bringing back to focus what we should be doing. Okay, this whole action of doing so, setting and resetting, we call it, is very powerful. And it is a mindset that can be generalized to all things. Okay, what should we be doing right now? Okay, that question is like your koan, something that we bring to mind constantly to remind ourselves what we should be doing in every single moment of our lives. A very powerful tool that can be used every single day. So I guess this is the end of the sitting meditation and standing meditation session. I believe it's Q&A with the three of us. Or
Sure. Or if anyone has any questions now.
yeah. Any questions regarding the practice? Or anything in general?
So you said this was a short meditation. What makes a long meditation?
Okay, so during a 7-day retreat, which is what we have at the temple, a long meditation session is probably about 45 minutes, depending on the time of day. The longest session is just before we retire for the day, and that's like 50 minutes. So that's like, yeah, that's kind of like standard duration. Yeah. I think what we did just then was about less than 20. It would have been something around the league of 18 minutes or so. It wasn't very long. Okay. This is your time to torture me. Yes.
I was just wondering about the, I don't know the right word, but the type of Buddhism that you practice.
Okay, so basically, Shilai Temple is part of Bogwan-san. And Bogwan-san, obviously, it advocates humanistic Buddhism, which is to be able to bring the values of the Dharma into everyday practice with a focus, not so much on transcending the world, but more so bringing in the value systems into daily life. But the origins of our order is Chinese Mahayana Buddhism. So the meditation we practice is pretty much a kind of it's a mixed bag. We have people who focus more on Indian Mahayana Buddhist meditation based on the Abhidhammic texts. Some people like to practice more according to the Tiantai school of meditation. But I find my little niche in between somewhere. I draw in from the original text of the Buddha and later texts done by meditation masters. Yeah. I think the most important thing is we find our own way that's comfortable and effective for ourselves as individuals. Because it's all about the inclinations. Everyone has different needs and different styles meet different needs. Yeah.
What made you choose to leave the monastic life?
Okay, this is a good question. I was born in Australia. My mom's Anglican. She's devout as well. So I wouldn't say I was born into the religion. I wouldn't call myself an ethnic Buddhist per se, but I was introduced to Buddhism by a family friend via a summer camp. And this summer camp was all about compassion. It was actually called Camp Paradise. So like Compassion Paradise. Yeah, really corny name, but it did it for me. Actually, it was like compassion. That's right. Like camp, passion, compassion. Yeah. So the whole theme was compassion. And looking at the venerables back in the days, they were very compassionate and kind and pretty much treating us equally regardless of who we were. So I guess this sense of equality really brushed up onto me. And the spirit of compassion also. And I could see it in the actions of the camp leaders. They were probably just like youth who were slightly older than I was. But I could really see that a Buddhist was not just talking the talk, but they were living the ideals of the Buddha. So that was what really drew me into Buddhism. And later on, became a point in time where career was something that most people have to think about, right? At some point in life. So it's probably now for you guys. And I thought to myself, I might as well choose a career that can help people and at the same time fulfill my own calling. So the monastic path was a given. It was like it served two ends. Like if I shared the message of the Dharma, it could help people, and at the same time, I'm fulfilling my own calling and helping myself at the same time. So I guess that was my reason. Yeah. Oh, two questions.
At this point in my life, I've been developing an awareness over what I think my ego is. And as I'm developing this awareness, I'm very scared to let go of who I am. Because I feel like if I let go, I'll go into you know what I'm talking about? Like this unexplainable type of feeling.
Okay, so basically, I think for most people, the ego is something which is very difficult to define. But in a Buddhist sense, it's very straightforward. Basically, the five skandhas are what make up the sense of I. Okay, the five skandhas are your body, your sensations, your perceptions of the world, the volition, the mental actions, as well as the consciousness. And this culmination of aspects, factors of experience are fluid, they're changing all the time. Okay, we don't deny its existence. We just say that it is changing constantly. So the whole point here is the sense of self is somewhat attached to too much sometimes. We kind of attach to a particular moment in life where we are successful. So probably today I'm doing well, I'm happy, I'm healthy. I get fixated on this particular state. And when things change, then of course we're backed out of our comfort zone and we are thrown into the depths of our dismay. So I think to understand ego in a more constructive manner is to understand that this idea or identity of self is ever changing. It is transforming every single day. And to embrace this change, to embrace opportunities for growth and development, and not to have things our way all the time, even that, to embrace that, it will empower us to see life very differently. So in a Buddhist sense, we're not letting go of this physical entity. We're neither letting go of the identity that we have created in our minds. We just have become overly attached to them. So the five factors of experience are components that make up the entirety of experience. So in saying that we have to let go of everything, we can't. It's going to be there until the karma that withstands and supports this existence ceases to be. That's the only time that you completely lose this physical being. So yeah, don't worry about letting go of your self, but you can see the ego clearly and see how to work with it, make friends with it. Yeah.
There's a question from people joining us virtually. Do you offer any changes when teaching meditation for people with more severe trauma?
Yes. So basically, I think there are many types of trauma. I guess there's like physical trauma, there's mental trauma, and there's everything in between. And I think for mental trauma, I know that in the scientific world, there's cognitive behavioral training. It's like to give rise to mental themes that lead the mind in a desired way, so that these thoughts repeat themselves. It becomes a habitual tendency, and it plays on the subconscious. So in a Buddhist sense, we're working with mental actions to build on and transform the subconscious. Okay, so CBT is a field that's widely studied and practiced. In Buddhism, we do have themes. For those who have mental trauma, we have the 4 immeasurable states of mind of kindness, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. Okay, these 4 themes, as we bring them to mind, and as we start with ourselves, blessing ourselves with these qualities, and then extending them outside of ourselves, they become to a point immeasurable. And as we try to extend kindness and compassion to others, what it really does is it lessens the ego. It lets us see that all people are connected or interconnected. All beings rely on each other to survive. So in essence, when we see the bigger picture in life, the understanding of ego as an autonomous and independent entity is shattered to the core. And then we are more open to change. We are more open to differences. So I think a lot of trauma happens when we don't understand our experiences clearly. And then when something happens, we react with a wrong mindset, and it builds. It becomes a vicious cycle. So I think, in essence, the easiest way to overcome trauma is to give rise to a mind of generosity and to a mind of gratitude. It is a good way to lessen that attachment to a particular instance in life or a particular occasion which this trauma builds on, and to see the bigger picture. And very soon we realize that that instance is just one moment in life or one extended moment in life, depending on the time or the duration of that trauma. But importantly, we see it as not ourselves. We see it just as an experience that has left us with a very deep impression. And to see the bigger picture of the factors of experience, we can work through them with mental themes to overcome them. So I guess for most of us, the most common trauma is not necessarily ourselves. It may be a lost loved one. So to see that all beings are interconnected, we feel that compassion that is universal. So when we lose someone who is close to us, it is a lot of pain. But when we understand that life is a whole shebang of comings and goings, and they come and go at different times, I think it's important to also realize that it is a natural process. In Buddhism, all beings are interconnected. So someone leaves our own circle of life, but they move on and exist in a different form, in a different sphere, in a different time. So they have never really left. In terms of the one thing that we all have in common from a Buddhist perspective, the Buddha nature, we have never left each other. We are all connected. So having this understanding in mind helps us to see the bigger picture. As a Buddhist monk, I think I see more death than anyone else. On average, like every single week, we have at least 1 or 2 funerals. We have to go and offer condolence and lead a service. So to see so many families lose loved ones, there comes to a point where the pain is so much that family member at that moment feels that they have lost everything. So I think it is probably it'll probably be not a good idea to say, okay, that's the bigger picture, don't worry about it. It's more like you can feel that pain, it's there. But then we remind ourselves that the bigger picture is there also. And at that point, when there is grief or when there's mental trauma, loving kindness and compassion directed towards that person will totally do wonders. And to see that all beings are essentially connected. So it means we also should spread our love, not to only just those who are close to us, but to all beings, to radiate that love outwards. It'll kind of like take away that pain because we see that all beings are loved equally. So that is why we always go big in Buddhism as much as possible. Unless we have attachment to specific things, the mind becomes as vast as the universe. So whereas our circle of life used to be just our circle of friends and family and relatives, it becomes the whole universe. And the mind is unrestrained. In terms of physical trauma, it's a very similar situation. So when we did the standing meditation, we invited everyone to notice any pain or tension inside the body, right? And whether there are any emotions behind those tensions. Okay, so likewise, radiating loving kindness and compassion to that particular area of tension does wonders. Any other questions? I think, what's the time now? It's like very close to 2, right?
140.
1:40, so I have 20 minutes.
You said that letting go of like processed foods and drugs is one thing that we can let go of. Are there any other recommendations that you say what doing?
Okay, so that particular comment was specific to not taking intoxicants, which is one of the you could say the precepts in Buddhism. So the reason why we didn't do that is because it alters the clear conscience. So we know that when we take illicit substances, it does throw our usual mindset into a really weird and wonderful state. And for a Buddhist and for a meditator particularly, it's important that we are able to maintain a clear conscience and clear mind. So that's just a very practical issue, okay, to be able to maintain that clarity of mind. I can't speak from experience because I've never tried anything in my life. But I've heard that when you start taking stuff, right, it really does change the chemicals in the brain. And until now, I've never heard of any positive outcomes of illicit substances. So that is probably why we do that. And your question was, were there any other recommendations? Vegetarian diet, good exercise, good sleep. And usually when we exercise, we try to refrain from doing too much exertion before meditation. Because when the body is hyped, it cannot calm down. So probably gentle walking before meditation is ideal. In terms of sleeping, I guess there's meditation for sleep as well. We have a sleep in turn. In Buddhism, there's the contemplation of light before retiring for the day. So what it is to relax the entire body. You can sleep down when you do this, when you can lie down and just imagine yourself completely relaxing each part of the body and contemplating light entering the crowns of our heads and allowing it to run through our body. And some people have ways to do it. They visualize themselves in a very comfortable place. Some people use the beach. Some people use, a nice place. The main thing is to allow the body and mind to be very comfortable. The next thing that differs from the standard sleep meditation, which is conventional and secular, is for a Buddhist, we make a vow. We make a vow that we will sleep well today so that we can wake up early in the morning to continue our spiritual practice. So after some training, it really happens and you're able to sleep within 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah. I know that people in the army, they have a very similar technique to fall asleep because sleep is of the essence. Yeah. So good food, good sleep, good exercise.
There's a question over there.
Oh, sorry.
What is a typical day look like?
For a Buddhist,
Yeah.
for a Buddhist monk. My apologies. It's not COVID. It's just like hay fever and postnasal drip. So we wake up about 5:30. We're doing morning service at 6:30 until 7:30, which is chanting, reading the teachings of the Buddha. We have breakfast and we get on with our day. So I'd say that our tradition is geared towards the Bodhisattva path. So it's kind of a very engaged take on the practice of Buddhism. So to us, it's probably not sufficient to focus on our own practice, but more so on the greater good of the community. So we busy ourselves during the day with running classes, organizing events, and spiritual counseling for devotees. So I'd say that the day starts at about 8:30. We do all kinds of stuff. So every monk or nun has his or her own task, and then we get on with that. At about 5:50, we have, noontime, we have our lunch, and then 5:50, we have our dinner. We work until then. And then after that is our time to meditate and do our cultivation. So it's a very full day. We sleep at about 11, and then, yeah, the day starts again. Yeah.
Can you speak about some of the meals? Are they the same? Do you have the same thing for breakfast?
Okay, it's slightly different. So the morning is congee, very light stuff, and carbohydrates. For lunch, it's more varied. There's vegetables, a lot of them as well, and yeah, and some proteins in terms of legumes and lentils. Dinner is similar to lunch, but some of us don't have it, depending on our own situation. And it's all vegetarian. Yeah. So.
Yes, one more question. I was wondering, what is your advice on how to have a close relationship with someone, whether that's a partner or a child, any family member, without forming an attachment that could be unhealthy? Because even if you feel like you're very close to somebody, it's hard to come out of that from an attachment, and that seems to be something that you want to avoid.
Yeah, good point.
I'm not sure I have that right, but
I think especially, let's talk about spouses first, partners. I think for most relationships, people enjoy company with that person and they find common interest and they find connection, right? Chemistry. But there is a very stark difference between wanting people to be a particular way and appreciating people for who they are. So sometimes, especially with spouses, like when someone changes the way he or she does something or changes his or her attitude to life or behaviors, the spouse, the significant other may start to get annoyed, right? And it'll be like, why are you doing things like that? But everyone has their own life to live. So I guess like from a Buddhist point of view, it's more to appreciate the significant other for who he or she is and to grow together spiritually with that person, and not be attached to the way we would like that person to live. I guess that is pretty much the Buddhist understanding of relationships. And the Buddha himself had many teachings specifically for, we call them householders, right? People who live a lay life. And a lot of it is centered around equality and mutual respect and so forth. Yeah.
What are your experiences with altered states of consciousness during meditation?
Okay, so altered states. So basically, in Buddhist meditation, there are no real altered states because everything is there. So in terms of altered state, I'd say that I've had experiences of getting into the zone to the point where it's like one-pointed concentration. But altered states, well, I think in Buddhist meditation, the purpose is not to find ourselves in a different state. It's more like understanding our mind in a very deep level and to be able to work with it to transform it.